Community radio still plays a vital role in South Africa. In fact, millions of South Africans rely and listen to community radio for access to information, but also to stay connected. But community radio station talent, personalities and staff often go unrecognized and unsupported, largely due to a lack of advertising spend flowing towards it. A large number of community radio stations depend on the support of government institutions, NGOs, grant funding, and the support of organizations like MDDA, for instance. But they ought to be celebrated. And someone who has put into gear an initiative to celebrate them right now is Motseki Mabuya, who is the founder of the Community Radio Awards, who joins us in studio live now. Motseki, good afternoon. Thank you so much for your time. Really do appreciate it. Did you start out on community radio?
Thank you, Oliver. Thank you very much for having me. Yes, I am a product of a community radio. I am now with the SABC at Lesedi FM.
Yeah. Which community radio did you start out with?
So I can count about 3 of them. I started I started at Voice of Tembisa, moved to the Val at VUT, and then ended with Teta FM, and later I was running Hope FM as a station manager.
I always wish I had the community radio experience, but fortunately I wasn't lucky enough to come from a community at the time that had a community station. But I do know the importance it plays in access to information, and oftentimes community radio stations don't get much support. Will a award ceremony to the scale of, or to the likeness of the SA Radio Awards, whether it be Liberty supporting it 1 year or whatever the case may be, would that bring a spotlight towards the need to support community stations?
Well, thank you. I think that's the whole point. That's the whole idea, that community radio will certainly we are putting the talent on spotlight. Obviously, there are issues that are affecting, as you were giving us your opening line there, or challenges that are facing community radio. We are hoping with the awards, we will be able to be given the attention, particularly by the sponsors, commercial, corporate, and big conglomerates to support the community radios themselves. We are not only putting up the Community Radio Awards. This will just be a night of celebrating talent. But beyond that, we are putting together what we will call a Community Radio Broadcasting School of Excellence. And this would happen across 9 provinces, where we would set up the campuses where community radio talent, and those who wish to even join community radio talent, should start there in terms of being equipped, in terms of being given enough capacity building as far as talent and radio business is concerned. But the third component of the Community Radio Awards that would happen also post is to really put the opportunity for those who are in the sector to be brought closer to the big corporation of the SABC, for instance. There is a conversation going currently with the SABC to say, listen, those who are going to be to be nominated firstly and ultimately being the winners of the community or recipients of the Community Radio Awards, can the SABC allow us to give them a job shadowing opportunity, so that they get to spend the time with the legends? I mean, those who know Oliver, they can come and say, listen, I am doing talk at community radio, you are with SAFM, how do you do it? So that 2 months, 3 months, whatever the time spent they can spend with you or any other legend on a bigger platform, they can go back and really do what is expected of them.
Yeah, community radio stations often don't have that pipeline. In fact, I've always found that campus radio stations have a better pipeline than community radio stations. If we look at organizations like UJFM, Voice of Wits, Tux FM, they really have a great talent pool that goes into commercial and ultimately national radio stations. What is campus radio doing that community radio is not doing in that aspect? Although I do think we need to speak of campus radio as community radio itself also.
Look, I think it's the investment of the institutions that are carrying the licenses. I mean, obviously, if you're a university or a bigger brand, you would want your brand being associated with the radio station. They ought to at least live up to your brand as a university. So I think it starts there first. But secondly, it's the advantage also of the commercial support, like you correctly said, that maybe the big brothers in this case, whether be it your Jacaranda FM, would feel like, listen, I am more interested in working with the campus as opposed to a community radio. And I think that's why we're making the call to the SABC to say, listen, here is community radio 30 years later. Can we do this for the benefit of even the national broadcaster itself?
One of the big problems with community station that is often under-discussed, but which lends itself to the lack of support of community radio station, is poor governance. especially when it comes to its policies and processes. Oftentimes when you wish to support a community radio station financially, they have to scrape together financial statements that often don't make sense. Sure. They often aren't tax compliant, and that means that advertisers can't even advertise with them, right? Because they're not organizations in good standing. And that is often because one person does everything from a management capacity at community stations. How do we get support, and I mean human personal capacity, in the management and governance aspect of community stations? Because it's not just about what happens on air. The back office matters just as much.
Sure. I think that's why we're talking about the School of Broadcasting Excellence, because it will talk to station management itself. But I don't think it's generally the case with everyone within the sector. Of course, the experience is that there are those challenges that the sector is facing, but I think they are working towards improving, obviously again through the support of MDDA, because that's the support that also MDDA is providing to ensure that the station management, it is really being improved.
Yeah. Well, that's all we have time for. Thank you so much for your time. I really do appreciate it, Motseki. I hope I'll be invited to these awards. I am a radio lover. I listen to radio. I listen to community radio, campus radio in particular. I love the talent pool there is, and I really hope to be able to see that grow and would contribute to it in any way whatsoever. So you and I should visit a couple of community stations together and just spend some time there in whatever capacity. Motseki is the founder of the Community Radio Awards.